Holy James Woods voiced Disney villain Batman! Tiki here, and I'm on a mission to watch every single episode of Batman the Animated Series for the first time! And oh my god, what's this? An average ordinary guy who thinks he's Zeus? Greek mythology? I need someone to help me out here. Dragon, get over here!
Yes. You see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series. One could say, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
And tonight, we are talking about fire from Olympus.
Olympus!
Alright, Dre, this is a very weird, very unconventional episode, but, you know the one, this is a weird thing for me to think about when I was watching this episode, Dragon, but you know the one thing that was going through my mind with this episode was?
What?
I actually think that Maxi-Zeus would have made a really fascinating Nolan villain.
That he would have.
Just because of the whole, it's not doing anything that's fantastical, but it's fantastical in his own head. I don't know, there's something there. Alright, so Dragon, I very much enjoyed this episode. I thought this episode was a lot of fun. I got really into the kind of the psychological element of it, especially with the ending. I think this episode really, really sticks to landing with the ending, and that's something I really commended on. Overall, just good animation, really, really good score. I want to highlight the score right off the bat because the score's always good with Batman the Animated Series, but this was just like, it's one of those things where it's like they don't need to go above and beyond for these scores here, folks, but they do, darn it, they do. And, just overall, Dragon, probably not like a top 10 caliber or anything, but I very much enjoyed it. I think it was kind of a breath of fresh air in a way.
Yeah. Alright, so this was a Dan Reba special. Dan Reba directed this one. Of course, Dan Reba, very much kind of the character guy, kind of worked his way up. He had directed See No Evil, the Invisible Guy episode.
Mm-hmm.
He did Zatanna. That was Dan Reba. And of course, Dan Reba, he goes pretty much all the DC shows as they go onward. So again, he was kind of basically season 3 is really the season of Reba, which then will kind of permeate like Superman, then Batman Beyond, and Justice League, and you name it. Also for this season, he did Blind as a Bat. Kind of the better Penguin hijacking a vehicle episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now the writing on this is interesting. This was written by. This is primarily written by the, I believe the husband-wife duo, Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. And before this, they had done Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne and Dreams in Darkness, two really interesting and psychological episodes, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Now, big thing, though, the story. I don't know how the breakdown is here. I want to say this person came up with the idea and the writers ran with it, but Paul Dini, he gets a story credit on this. And, of course, I think the ending that you really liked, like a lot of Dini fingerprints on that, if I'm a better...
Oh, very, very Dini-inspired, for sure. Very, very Dini-esque.
Plus, one of Dini's kind of mainstay characters pops up in that scene, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Of course.
All right, let's see. Studio worked on this. Dong Yang, of course. Spectrum's away. Dong Yang will play. Because this episode has fantastic animation. Of course, give you a little tease of what they've been doing so far. Of course, they have a name of episodes way longer in my arm, folks. I'm just going to keep it simple. They did his Silicon Soul, which I think has beautiful animation, as a recent example. Did Zatanna and Birds of a Feather. Going to give a little sampling there. Not a lot of background on Maxi-Zeus. All I can really tell you about kind of the Maxi-Zeus concept is it was a Denny O'Neil idea way in the comics. So Denny O'Neil, he basically, I don't know if you kind of picked up on this, Tiki, but Maxi-Zeus a little similar to King Tut from the 60s show.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Very much, like I said, Dragon, it's kind of like a Nolanized version of a character like that. Like, what if a character like that, what if we really explored the mental illness of a character like that?
And that's the thing, of course, like now King Tut's kind of had a comeback with the animated, 60s Batman films they've been doing, but again, like they find, like the thing is, if I recall correctly, King Tut was never a character in the comics. They came up with him for the 60s show, and very lightly they touched on him, but they never officially brought him in the comics until now with the whole 66 comics series and the animated thing, and like now he's in it, but for a long time King Tut wasn't in it. In lieu of that, Danny O'Neill brought in Maxi-Zeus as kind of like the grounded 70s version of like, what if we took King Tut seriously? So again, through Maxi-Zeus in Greek mythology, and of course you always have Greek parallels with the superheroes, the modern day mythology, yada yada yada. Appeared in the Detective number 483. And down the line, what's really interesting is Maxi-Zeus, he's kind of popped up a couple times, like a bad penny, so to speak. He's kind of popped up like he's popped up. Kevin Smith took a stab at Maxi-Zeus, kind of made him Scarface, a little maybe like kind of like a Tony Montana type character in his book, Batman Cacophony. And he's actually they worked him in animation again with the Harley Quinn animated show recently. He's been he's kind of like a sleazy kind of motivational speaker bad guy with like kind of a whole Greek gimmick going on. It's really funny.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's just jump right into it then.
Okie dokie, Dragon. So let's see. So we start with a meeting between Gordon and another character that goes kind of awry. That character's name is, sorry, I'm trying to find the name in my notes. Dragon, do you have it?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Yanni Stavros. Now, one thing I want to highlight, though, again, with the animation and everything, although the first image of the episode is Gordon striking the match, so again, fire for the fire from Olympus, which is quite nice. Anyway, so point being, we have the two of them are meeting. He's basically Gordon's meeting an informant here, and it's got to be a big deal if the police commissioner is doing a meeting with an informant. So as we know later in the episode, the stakes are pretty big with what this guy has knowledge on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's kind of waiting, and the guy seemingly he's kind of delayed. So of course, Yanni here is kind of walking down the street here about he's kind of in the alley, looking for kind of poking his head out for Gordon. But before he does that, two men arrive, and they tell Yanni Stavros here that the meeting's been canceled. So Maxi-Zeus's men have come to stop him, and they kind of chase him down an alley.
Oh boy. And I love how we build up Maxi-Zeus, Dragon. We don't really see him at all in this opening scene. We just hear him, right?
Exactly. We have him in silhouette, which is such a great choice. This is on top of the lighting.
We see the bolt of lightning too, and we're like, "What is that thing?"
This opening has this whole episode has some of the best lighting you're going to see in the animated series, because like Gordon with the match earlier, and the Zeus in silhouette, and later on Batman looks fantastic with the shadow work. It's a lot of good stuff there. So we have the money shot of basically this car waiting down an alley, and hence the lighting of it all here. Like the lights are on. Our guy's like running. I love how didn't you feel bad for Yanni?
Oh yeah.
It's like just crying on the ground, because he knows some bads. Because those are crazy guys about to waste him. So it's kind of like, no. So Maxi-Zeus, he comes down there, kind of emerges in all silhouette. The man begs for his life. I wasn't going to tell him anything, which we know is a lie. He's just saying it to save his skin. But again, who would blame him? Of course, Maxi-Zeus here again, very Olympian. He's saying, "First you transgress against me, and you force me to come down to the mortal plane and say I know not what I think." Oh boy, this is to the depths of Tartarus with you. And of course, and this is horrific what we do. I love what we do here. We have this horrific scream as we see the outside of the alley, and like this giant, he hits him, but we don't know how this happens exactly. Just like seemingly silhouette of a lightning bolt, which in Greek mythology, like Zeus and just like chuck lightning bolts at people. In this case, like how does this guy have a lightning bolt that does this? Anyway, silhouette, cut to the alley, giant beam of white light and a horrific scream. Ah! Gets Gordon's attention. He's running to the alley. Maxi-Zeus and company go away, and we see like kind of the legs of the guy. It's like what you don't see is more horrific, folks. And these tires are on fire, and apparently that saved old Stavros' life here. And speaking of Stavros, little fun fact: he is the actor who plays Stavros is I believe the son of Telly Savalas.
Oh, nice.
Little kind of like little Blofeld, the kids out there. Anyway. Little fun fact. All right. Okay, so we then cut to the hospital. We have a little doctor exposition here where we learn that Stavros he survived because of course we can't kill him. We can't kill him on Saturday morning television. First off, but basically he survived by the skin of his teeth thanks to the tires that absorbed most of the electric shock. And I love Gordon here. As Gordon saying. One of the rare times we've opened an episode with Gordon, by the way. I just want to also get that.
Well, yeah. It takes a couple minutes for us to get away from Gordon. That's kind of refreshing.
Yeah. So again, so Gordon here, again, taking an active role in the whole, kind of police commissioning, as it were. And of course, Gordon here is kind of cutting the doctor off. Wait, you mean to tell me this man was struck by lightning? There was not a cloud in the sky. How is this possible? And, Doc says, well, you're going to have to ask him when he wakes up. We have this really cool reflection shot as we see him kind of reflected in the hospital window. Really good. Again, great animation, great shot composition, which then transitions to the file of said electrocuted guy in the classic Batman Gordon scene in Gordon's office.
Oh yeah. So we're basically getting getting some exposition about the technology. It was an electrical discharge cannon being developed by a U.S.-European alliance, yada yada.
Yeah. It's a little fun, little tidbit, because this is going to come back a lot in Batman Beyond.
Okay.
Batman keeps tabs on Interpol, the international police matters, because he's just really that well informed. Again, it makes sense. If Batman wants to make sure crime stays out of Gotham, he wants to know what's on the surface that could be entering Gotham. So he's always keeping tabs on Interpol. And basically, when we get to Batman Beyond, Bruce Wayne's always pulling up Interpol files, and we kind of we're building a little bit of track for that here, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, yes, the EDC, the electron discharge cannon. And basically, this is it's a fourth generation energy weapon. Very, really dangerous stuff. Which Gord basically, that's the whole reason he was going to entertain kind of a plea. He's going to put in a good word with the feds if Stavros kind of testified, thinking that this guy is either was either involved in the theft or has been tipping people off. Because essentially, as Batman puts it, he's been keeping tabs on him because Interpol's been keeping tabs on him. And if basically, this guy's been shipping manifests to hijackers. Therefore, now the hijackers know what's coming in the shipments. Therefore, they can steal it. So they're not 100% like that. They don't know it's an inside job yet. That's the important thing to note here. Otherwise, Batman just kind of come full, guns a-blazing at first.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Little expo video and the footage.
Back to Olympus.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm skipping ahead. Am I?
Yeah, just a smidge. But
we see the footage. Go over the footage. I'm sorry.
We see some really cool footage. It's like a nuclear bomb test of what the electron discharge cannon can do. And my God, it's we love just the giant blinding light effects here. And if you get a giant blinding light effect on your little VHS tape, you got a problem. All right, so Gordon fears this device falling into the wrong hands in Gotham, and Batman kind of putting two and two together from the manifest and little file footage. This guy works for Maximilian Shipping. Maximilian Shipping has a lightning bolt on the logo, so wait a minute, might be a little bit of a connect there. So of course, Batman is basically connecting the dots here. A little suspicion. Batman goes to the logo, so to speak, and we go to Olympus,
or just the rooftop of a building.
But it's the tallest building in Gotham, though. Look at this thing.
It's very impressive, Dragon. It's very impressive. It's it's a worthy Olympus location, I would say.
I love the whole layers just on the top of the building. It looks so cool.
Mm. Yeah, it's like this old school, almost kind of Roman architecture with the columns and everything.
Yeah. Let's see. So we have. Oh, by the way, Maxi-Zeus played by Steve Susskind. Now, Steve Susskind, he's actually been in our childhoods for many years. But here's the thing: he's a bit player. He's one of the background voices. He's been in Toy Stories like some Spare Army Men. He's been in been in A Bug's Life, been in Iron Giant, been in Prince of Egypt. He's been all over the place, man. Steve Susskind.
So just one of those character actors that pops up, one of those I know that voice guys.
Well, he's more there's an I know that voice guy, and then there's when in the credits of any animated film is going to say various voices supplied.
I've seen that. I've seen that name. Yeah.
That's where basically the industry voice actors always are in that section. Anyway, sorry, go on. Okay.
Okay, so yes, so this is where we meet Cleo, Dragon, and Cleo, very much kind of a prototypical sort of love interest to the villain, if you will. She's very much concerned for the morality of the villain and the human condition of him, and I very much like that. I think we get a good glimpse into how far gone Maxi-Zeus is through her lens, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I thought Cleo was a very invaluable character to the episode, because again, we know this episode, there's something remarkable about the pacing of this episode, because a lot happens within just the first half of it. First 10 minutes, we breeze past this thing. We don't have a lot of time to spend with Maxi-Zeus, but we build up a relationship and a history through Cleo, so she's pivotal to all this.
Right.
Also, Bess Armstrong doing her voice. she was in she had this really like memorable scene in The Nanny. She played the wife who kind of died. Basically the whole widowed Maxwell Sheffield. She played the mom from The Nanny show, played in this one scene. Really good scene. Just want to highlight there. Anyway, point is, she has a really great performance here. Okay.
So she's pretty much going over the exposition of kind of like how Maxi-Zeus lost his way, right? How basically he went into racketeering and he just kind of, got a big ego, and what do you know? Now he's larger than life, going off about this Greek mythology bullshit.
Yeah, like it's really kind of cutesy dynamic here, where Maxi-Zeus, of course, he's kind of delegated the responsibilities of his henchmen, again, paralleling them with Greek mythology. So Cleo here, she is, basically she's the assistant and the girlfriend, and she's trying to talk some sense into him, saying the grand jury's building a case for bribery, extortion, racketeering. He says, basically, as far as he's concerned, she's a muse of histories, and like she tells him again, she's doing what she's doing right now, like talking about the day to day, which he equates to tell me the history of Greek mythology and the history of the world we live in. Of course, then that's how she's trying to wake him up a little parable of history here, where basically exactly what you said right there about the origin story of Maxi. He's like, there's a man named Maxi who thought he was untouchable, an untouchable shipping magnate. Who because he got lucky and didn't get caught within the smuggling rackets. And of course, again, basically the whole Greek mythology obsession really kind of comes out of all this, as you said. So of course, he says, "I'm above right and wrong," which really concerns Cleo. And again, really human moments within this kind of story here. It's basically the human moments of someone dealing with a loved one with a mental illness who just cannot for the life of them recognize that they're going through something here. And again, it's like there was something really human and compelling about that with the Maxi-Zeus character. It's like, this is a good guy, but he's just so lost his way and just not realizing it.
Yeah. Like I said, Dragon, it would make a compelling Nolan villain just because, there's nothing supernatural really that's going on with this guy. It's very much just kind of a mental illness that's sort of overtaken him. It's really
the literal
God
complex.
Exactly. It's a God complex taken to the most literal form for sure.
Yes. All right, let's see. So, so this is great. This is where things get really fun. Okay, so. So as Clear's having no luck reaching Maxi here, Batman arrives in the Batwing, looking really awesome, and also looking a little kind of mythic here. And of course, that's
James Woods.
Yeah, Maxi-Zeus mistakes Batman for Hades. And fun fact, you bring up James Woods. Remember, Justice League Crisis on 2 Earths. What?
Sorry, it's Patrick Page. The guy who plays Hades in Hades Town. I'll stop now. Go ahead.
Anyway, my point that they actually connect your Hades points. Fun fact, in Justice League Crisis on 2 Earths, Owlman, who plays the alternate version of Batman, who's the bad guy of that piece, voiced by James Woods.
Oh, nice.
And he's really good, too. He's so good in that movie, James Woods. Anyway, so point being, mistakes Batman for Hades, and it's like, again, like he's like very brotherly dynamic, kind of like Maxi imposes my brother, Lord Hades, and they have a lot of fun pleasantries in this scene. He says, "Here, have some nectar of the gods." Like, what brings you here?
Nectar of the gods.
Like offering like a drink and everything. I love the pleasantries here, and of course, like Clear's saying, "Don't you, Maxi? No, that's Batman." Like, no, Batman. Batman's a mere
Batman is but a mere mortal. How could he survive the climb to Mount Olympus?
I love this. We've kind of seen this stuff a little bit in the animated series. A lot of uncomfortable Batman gets what it kind of has these vague pleasantries interactions when you see it.
Right.
Like Batman in this scene is kind of gold here. He just basically Batman. He's taking.
Okay.
Yeah, like Batman's like putting his hand to his face. You're like, I wonder what the deal with this guy is. He's basically what Batman's doing here. He's taking a mental impression and kind of a profile of the guy in the moment here. He's doing something really smart. Just kind of taking the guy in, like not just like setting him straight. Just like, okay, I'm going to play into it here and just see if I can get some answers out of this guy. But bear in mind, at this point, Batman thinks he's just an eccentric suspect. He doesn't know something's off until the end of the scene. Like, he doesn't know he's the guy behind all of it. Right now, he just thinks, okay, this guy, he's involved in it through the whole shipping organization. This guy's just the eccentric shipping magnate. I'm always uncomfortable about these eccentric billionaire types, as we saw with, the Moon and the Wolf. With that, check for $1 million if I can meet Batman. Maybe I can beat him in a fight. That guy. right.
All right.
All right. So meanwhile, so Cleo's been excused. She's warning Alex and the men, basically Maxi-Zeus's henchmen, that guys, this is a problem. Batman's here. The whole the whole organization's gonna crumble in on us, and Maxi along with us. It's the boss is fine.
You
It's
know
this thing.
the boss and his freak stuff.
Yep. It's also a fun thing to note here. You rarely ever see kind of like a Greek mafia sort of, like a kind of the organized criminal of the Greeks.
Yeah. I'm glad you point that out. Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Let's see. Of course, I believe we even started like kind of like a Greek district of Gotham, by the way, when they had that little meeting, because there's some Greek signs behind Gordon, that little kind of Greek symbolism on that. Well, again, we're exploring some uncharted territories. It's kind of fun. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so while that's going on, we cut back to kind of the interrogation here. Basically, Batman's just trying to informing him of the whole electron discharge can of it all. Which basically Maxi plays dumb because we know he is hiding something, but says, what use for that do I have? I can literally, when Zeus can conjure lightning bolts of his own. So this is where Batman knows that he's the guy, because he uses the lightning bolt to kind of shock something. Yeah. So he's putting the guy that got zapped. We get a good
close up on Batman's face, and he's just like, oh, it's him.
Yep. Okay, so let's see. So Ben Zeus is bored. And what I love is, I love how kind of blasé Maxi is here. He says, hey, I'm bored, go away now. It's like just tells Batman, okay, leave. He tells him to leave via the gun-mounted harpy statues. Basically, hit a button on the remote, just turns these statues with gun-mounted eyes. Leave here unless bidden. So I love the parable with Maxi-Zeus and Batman as a character here. To me, and you can tell me if I'm crazy. Tell me if I'm as loony as Maxi-Zeus here, but I'll throw this at you.
That's going to be hard to do, Dragon. That's a hard bar to reach.
What if Maxi-Zeus is kind of Batman? Maxi-Zeus is sort of a what if Batman's obsession completely overtook him, and
what if Batman literally thought he was a bat, like a humanized bat?
Well, more like what if Batman bought into his own mythology, as in the criminals think, oh god, he's a giant bat demon guy. He's a bat demon guy, and like all that sort of all the myths, like the bat ain't a human.
Demon guy.
Like in the writing room for a lot of the DC stuff, they always have to combat something called Bat God, or basically Batman's untouchable. It's like he's a human man, but like if we can't even punch him in a fight, what's the use? So they're always fighting Bat God. It's like what if Batman bought into the old Bat God saying, as it were. So it's kind of that's what I'm saying. Like what if Batman bought into his own mythology, and this guy's like a literal embodiment of mythology. It's kind of like the intersect they kind of took from that. All right. Okay, so Batman leaves, and meanwhile, after Batman leaves, we reveal Maxi-Zeus. Of course, he has like the awesome chessboard, which is from Greek mythology. I remember from the Hercules Disney movie that Hades had this sort of chessboard, but it's kind of a Greek thing, I guess, where you have like the chessboard, like all the gods and all the pieces and all that sort of stuff. So he reveals he had a secret electron discharge cannon piece to put on the board.
Oh God. All right, so then we see Cleo walking out of the building, right?
Yes, Cleo walks out of the building. She sees, the bat wings circling the place. Oh, Maxi, what have you got yourself?
By the way, it's a very cool kind of atmospheric shot.
It is.
Oh, Max, what's happening to you?
Of course, Maxi-Zeus, he's planning to, like Zeus Reborn, is planning to rule over Gotham. That's pretty with the electron discharge can. That's kind of his main plot going on there. So Cleo, Batman here, kind of pulling a little bit of a phantasm here, kind of following the old heartstrings to the lady's apartment. Cleo remains. She's reminiscing over the old life with Maxi via this really nice photo. To me, I like to think like they went to Athens for a vacation and took a photo there because you see like the old columns from Greece.
Oh, I like that theory. Yeah, maybe that trip. It's one of those trips that like maybe inspired him a little too much.
Yeah.
A little bit of background detail there.
Yeah. Let's see. Of course, I love throughout the whole episode we have this great kind of thunder and lightning booming throughout the whole episode, which of course is very appropriate, giving the Olympus and the Zeus of it all, which is kind of nice, and adds some really great lighting opportunities, including bad entrances where Batman just appears. Oh, yeah. Just appears when she's reaching for a tissue. Boom! Lightning and Batman. Awesome.
What do you want? I want the same thing you want, to help Maximilian Zeus.
That's my Batman right there. He's helping everybody. All right. No, seriously, it's a really nice thing. With
Another lightning flash. Kind of bookend by lightning flashes there. All right. So Cleo's kind of also explaining the the Maxi-Zeus obsession there. With the tension of the business, he got confused. He's not living in the real world.
Well, yeah, the other really cool facet of Maxi-Zeus we learn here from her is that basically the reason he got stressed out was that Maxi-Zeus, the business was fledgling, so he went presumably for a loan to the mob. He ran operations for the mob, which stressed him out, which led to the psychotic break.
Uh-huh.
So that's why.
I like that. Maybe you can relate to that.
Yep, and of course, just and again, there's a point there where again you get so hung up and so stressed out, you kind of become what you kind of the mask that you put on. It's kind of the parable again for the whole buying into your own mythology. Maybe I don't know. Right. Okay, so point being, Batman needs Cleo's help to help Maxie and kind of stop this before anyone gets hurt. So they cook up a plan to save a bunch of lives, including Maxie's sanity here, which includes basically sneaking Batman into the Olympus building, which I love how simple and clever it is, by the way. And I love the fact that Batman could have done this on his own, just being really sneaky, basically breaking into her car. But I love that he gave her the credit enough to I can reach this person with like she cares about somebody. We can work together instead of me just having to manipulate her.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Batman sneaks in her trunk, and basically she just drives into the parking lot, and he's in the trunk. We have this great mirror shot that reveals, hey, Batman was in the trunk the whole time. That's awesome. Clever little infiltration plan, and a bad exit mid-sentence, as he tends to do.
Yeah. Good bad exit. All right, so Batman, he goes into the ventilation shaft, kind of classic Batman move.
Meanwhile, we have a bit that always puzzled me in the episode, and it's always like a weirdly handled scene. So Cleo takes the elevator, again, they go to the roof, and then Alexander, he kind of stops her there. And I love how apologetic this runner with Alexander. He's like a really nice guy because he knows the boss is crazy, but doesn't like it's nothing personal. It's just like, sorry, Mr. Lucas. The boss says this is as far as you go. You don't go to the roof. Mm-hmm. And with that, the way this is staged always puzzled me. It's a little clunky in the why. Like, well, why is he on to her? Which implies that it's implied that he doesn't know that what she's cooking up here. But why is she no longer trusted? I don't get it. I mean, I'm gonna. The only logic I have, Tiki, is this: Maxi-Zeus, the side of him that isn't diluted but is kind of buried deep down deep. Wants to keep Cleo away from his crazy plan. Therefore, that's why Cleo's not allowed to the roof. That's the only logic I can deter from. But even then, you have to read into that a lot.
I mean, you're right. It's definitely a missing element of the episode for sure. It feels like something was left on the cutting room floor there.
Yeah, plus it felt like she was about to be kidnapped or something, or taken hostage in that moment because it's like she looks all scared, like, oh no, I can't go to the roof. Like what? She's just gonna sneak to the roof anyway. What's the big deal? Why can't we just let her go up? That's what I'm saying. It's
right.
Weird. Okay.
I hear you.
All right. Anyway.
Okay, so we have a big kind of cataclysmic moment here, Dragon. Oh boy, big moment here with the police blimp.
Mm-hmm. So police blimp is going by, as it tends to do in the animated series, And Maxi-Zeus interprets this through, I love how deluded Maxi-Zeus is. We see the danger of delusion in this episode, where he thinks it's like, human interlopers on Olympus, I won't have it. So he uses the discharge to shoot it down, man.
And it's quite horrific, yeah.
The way it goes down, like it bursts into flames, like full on Hindenburg, man. Not good.
Right.
All right, let's see. So, of course, Cleo then immediately chews him out of, like, what are you thinking? You realize how many innocent people you could have killed there? And she's really chewing out. Then we have, I think, one of the most poignant scenes in the whole episode here. So, Zeus is like, he's having a hissy fit here. Like, how dare you, you Amuse tells me what to do. And basically she says, don't you realize I love you, Max? Stop this, please. And for a moment, this is the acting. Steve Susskind.
Yeah, totally.
Scene. He has barely a sentence, and he conveys so much. And again, given that this guy's usually kind of a background guy, this is an amazing little performance moment he has right here. Because again, he's just playing a little broadly throughout the whole episode. And it's fun, don't get me wrong. This is where we have like the true stakes, where for a moment, she reaches Maximilian, where he says,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Cleo, I can't. And again, you see the vulnerability then shift directly back into the ego as it kind of shakes his head for a moment. Like that moment, it's just, it's, oh God, it's beautiful. This sheer humanity conveyed in that little, I'm sorry, I can't. Because again, he just sounds like a regular guy. And then back to Zeus.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. That moment definitely caught with me as well.
You're no longer fit to be among us.
All right, so then Zeus sees, oh, Lord Hades is trying to regain Olympus, I see.
Yep. Of course, like crawling like a worm through the dirt. He started like an eagle through the heavens. Now he's like a worm through the dirt, and he's trying to regain Olympus. And of course, then that's when then Batman's about to fall into a series of death traps. Before that, though, I want to point out, of course, one of the most infamous episodes of Batman the Animated Series, Prophecy of Doom. Climax of Prophecy of Doom: girl tied to a giant spherical-like thing. I think we do a lot better here, where we tie her to the front of the electron discharge can. A lot more stakes there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Back to Batman. Batman, great lighting here with the flashlight in the dark room, and I love the timing here, where basically Maxi-Zeus hits the button that kind of sets the trapdoor, and I love like the instantaneous. Oh god, Batman just like fell through that trapdoor, man. It wasn't like a dramatic. We didn't milk it. Like he just immediately fell through the trapdoor, and he falls to the 12 labors of Heracles death trap.
Mhm. So we get Batman versus a snake, which is supposed to represent the Hydra, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the Hydra, and really, there's a really clever detail in this in the animation, Tiki, where they did they worked the old animation trope to their advantage, where you paint something into the background, you can usually tell if it's about to move because it's like painted differently than the rest. But in this case, what they did is it's all background, then it comes alive, but you don't see it because you think it's a statue, and then oh god, it's a living snake holding itself in place. That's amazing.
Oh, that's really cool. That is a really cool detail.
Let's see. So
That kind of reminds me of how the Tiki Room kind of gradually comes alive at Disneyland, where you walk in, everything's still, and then as the show goes on, it's like, oh my god, the totem poles are alive now.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So let's see. Then we, of course, by the way, the 12 labors of Heracles. Again, that ties in the whole like Hades and his little chessboard things. Kind of again, that's another little chessboard connected with the 12 labors too. It's a lot of pottery and chessboards that they kind of dedicate to the 12 labors of Heracles. Okay, let's see. So Batman uses knockout gas on the snake to knock it out. Next is the boar. And you gotta remember, a lot of these trials are really animal based, so I can only imagine like how many more animal things were in this room.
God, the boar is really cool and intimidating. By the way,
I love the entrance of the boar because what they do is the boar, like Batman's looking down the hallway, pulls out the batarang with the bat rope, and he's just ready for it, man. But we delay it as he's just coming through and through and through. And we move the frame, we hear the echo, we don't even see it until it bursts through. Like oh god, bursts through after that build up and drags Batman around and crashes him through a window. And I got to admit, the animation on this, and as you said, Tiki, very intimidating, looks amazing, but why would Batman not just dodge it? When you really think
yeah.
Now, to be fair, though, it did get him to a shortcut, so maybe it was intentional. I don't know. The point being, he grabs onto this thing, he's thrown out the window, and now he's a shortcut. He's grappled to the roof. Problem solved.
Sure.
So it worked out. Point being, it's kind of, he broke even on that one. We're all good.
All right, let's see. Alas, farewell, my dark brother. Maxi-Zeus kind of thinking that he defeated Batman, even though, nope, dramatically, Batman's hanging on to the roof, darn it.
Yep. Of course, Batman, he's grappling up. Meanwhile, Maxi-Zeus, he's convinced, and this is what's horrifying of Maxi-Zeus here, again, where he's convinced that he's not going to kill Cleo with this electron discharge cannon thing. He's going to purify her. That basically she'll be. It's kind of like the Megara thing from. Bear in mind, folks, a little bit of my Greek mythology here, especially with the whole the Zeus and the traditional stuff with Greek mythology with the gods, tied to the animated Hercules movie. And of course, I know a lot of inaccuracies there. Just go with me on this. My point is, of course, big climax of the animated Hercules is Hercules. He couldn't he couldn't bring Meg to Olympus with him because again, human versus God.
Right.
And that's kind of the rules. Where I think Maxi-Zeus has convinced himself here again. If she dies, she could go to Olympus. Basically, if she's kind of outside of the mortal coil, she could come to Olympus and be with him without all any of these questions like coming from a muse. I think that's his logic there. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
He's going to cleanse her with the fires from Olympus, hence the episode title. That's the other big thing. I'm going to cleanse you with the fires from Olympus, and you'll be mine. As the horrible smiles as he's crushing the figure. The man's out of his gore. He's just these delusionals all get out. Cleo is panicking. She's in deep doo-doo, my friend.
All right, so this is where Batman shows up, right?
Yes. As Zeus is about to hit the button, let the mortals know the gods of old live again, and the batarang hits the control panel. Batman's back, and he's telling the henchman to attack him. I love how Zeus shocks the crap out of the one henchman. I guess earlier it's not a big deal. Earlier I think he shocked the one henchman, then basically six Alexei on Batman. And Alex here doesn't want to attack Batman. Maybe we shouldn't, boss. All this dissidence, for all those to oppose Zeus, he six the harpies on him. All the machine gun fire is now descending upon Batman. This poor henchman just the boss is in the Greek.
Poor henchman just running away. Yeah. Just diving into the water.
Yeah, hightails into the pool. Batman dispatches with the statues. There's a little bolo thing around one of them, and then he basically really cool. He kind of sticks a grenade in the mouth of the other one. Just boom, blows it up.
Okay. Right, but the cannon is getting more and more charged up, Dragon. Not good. Batman, let's see.
He charges at Maxi-Zeus and he flips him. Really nice fluid animation there to get to the control panel and then kind of save Cleo, brings her back to the surface of the building so he can untie her. And then Zeus, after he does that, Zeus hits Batman with the lightning bolt off the roof, it seems. Bam! Oh no, he's going to be street pizza. The fate of all who try to thwart the gods. Batman climbs back up, thankfully.
Yes.
So anyways, Zeus all cocky and everything. He hung up the lightning bolt and he was going back to the control panel to fire the cannon. I believe at the moon, by the way.
Oh God.
Which is even crazier. So Batman, what Batman does, you hit him with what Batman does here.
Yeah, sure. Batman, while Zeus is kind of aiming the cannon and is about ready to fire it, Batman, while Zeus is distracted, he goes up and he takes the lightning bolt and he chucks it right into the cannon.
Yeah, Olympics javelin style, man. He's
right. A very elegant solution to the problem, Dragon.
Yeah, and also I love Zeus. Zeus has a really hilarious line here where he's just no, that's mine! That's mine!
So Zeus sees the lightning bolt. He goes for it, the arrogance of youth. Not really youth, but you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it kind of misses the cutoff there, buddy.
Well, I know, but still just very arrogant indeed.
What's funny? Some people have a problem with the episode for this reason. That Batman and Zeus don't really have a knuckle drag down fight, but think about it. Zeus is his own undoing. That's kind of the point of the character. This guy was his own undoing. That's the thing. So, and again, he tussled a little bit with Batman.
I like how he just falls bam, right on his head. Very realistically.
He basically jumps on the thing. He's holding the lightning bolt, which basically, after all the electricity is kind of firing from the one device, it then activates the electricity and the lightning bolts. Basically, Zeus shocks the crap out of him. That's a regular thing with the character, by the way. He gets electroshock treatment once he's in Arkham. That's kind of you don't see in the animated series. He's a one-off, by the way. You're never going to see him again in the animated series. But that's the thing. That's always been the thing with the character. Whenever he goes to Arkham, he's kind of hooked on electroshock because of the Zeus of it all.
No.
So, point being, he gets the crap shocked out of him, and he falls, thankfully, to a lower layer of the bazillion foot tall building. So he falls, as you said, falls right on his head, and we transition. This is the best part. We transition from the chessboard of the Zeus chess piece on the chessboard to Arkham, and this is the very Deany ending, man. It's such a Deany ending if I ever saw one.
Oh, this is a killer ending for sure.
So good. So Maxi-Zeus is being wheeled. I love how he's being wheeled in Arkham, classic, straight jacket on the little dolly. and he's just like so happy. He thinks like he's now going to the real Olympus, where he's drawing all these parallels to kind of the classic, Batman rogues galleries with kind of the Greek gods. And I'll get the reactions of all the weirded out Batman foes here, where we have Demeter, the goddess of harvest, which is Ivy. Little side note: this is something that kind of comes and goes sometimes in the series. You'll notice they're all in costume. Now,
yeah.
The logic I have is that there is some science to support this. Basically, is kind of like a therapeutic technique. If they show good behavior, you put them in their costumes to make them feel comfortable, so they don't freak out. So sometimes makes more sense than others, but again, it's the ending. It's kind of a we don't care moment, but sometimes in the future they.
I think it's a total we don't care moment. I don't care in the slightest.
That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes if you see it pop up again, I guess that's the logic. But I think it was like a one-off here if I'm really thinking about it hard. Point being, little side note. Okay, so we then go to Two-Face, who is the Two-Face Janus, Lord of Beginnings and Endings. Of course, it's Two-Face. Now there is an actual mistake here, though. Again, maybe we don't care, but Janus is a Roman god, not a Greek god.
Yeah, that's a little bit more of that's a little bit more of a could have done your homework on that.
I mean, to be fair though, Janus literally he perfectly fits Two-Face. That's why they went with Janus, because like Janus' whole thing, I think he actually has two faces or something. He's all about the whole point. And the point being, Janus absolutely fits him with Two-Face. They even they're like a little comic series about the point being. Good call, just not Greek, but we'll give it a pass because it's the ending. It's Dini. Okay. Then, of course, we have the merry Hermes, trickster of the gods, and it's the Joker, and doing like this little funny face where he presses his face up against the glass, tongue out, just the Joker shenanigans.
I do like the comparison to Hermes.
Yeah.
That's not something I usually like. Usually we'd go to Hades for the Joker, but I think Hermes is more of a better fit because Hermes really is the trickster of the Greek mythology.
Because you got to remember, Tiki, despite kind of our Disney leanings here, traditionally Hades not technically a bad guy, not technically. Bear in mind, he's involved like death and everything. That's why he was the bad guy. It's kind of like kind of a negative work experience. But traditionally, again, just like Zeus himself is kind of a bad guy. If you really want to be critical about Greek mythology, that's what I'm saying. So, roles of good and evil, little flipped around sometimes. Anyway, we have Zeus kind of coming into his cell here. Says, "Now at last, the mighty Zeus is home." And again, this great music cue. I'm sure you'll love. They have like that, like the grand like. Dun dun, like this grand welcoming symphony.
Oh yeah. Okay, so final thoughts on this one, Dragon. I quite enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't necessarily think it's a top 10 or anything, but it's a great one-off, man. It really is. It's psychological, it's complex, but at the same time, it's really entertaining. At the same time, I think it strikes a good balance in terms of that. So, just overall, I quite enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing more weird one-off episodes like this in the future.
Now, in Season 3, you might see a few of those.
We'll see.
I
know there's one-off coming up that I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, I know it, yeah. All right, let's see. For me, final thoughts. It's a nice and simple one-shot, as you said. I think the whole point of the episode is kind of encapsulated with the ending, which is the point of the episode. We're seeing a foe who needs Arkham not as a punishment, but as an actual help, which is such a fitting ending and kind of encapsulates the episode. It's all about, is it the deepest episode? Well, it gleams that it hits the mark absolutely. It does what it wants to, and I respect it for that. It conveys enough, and again, conveys a lot with a little. That's a really remarkable thing about the episode. We kind of live in it, but not for too long. We're not building up Maxi-Zeus because he's a one-shot, but again, we just have enough there, and again, we convey it through the performances of the characters around him, like Cleo. As I said earlier, again, this is kind of like the animated series' stamp on a King Tut-esque foe that again, kind of elicits a little bit of sympathy from us, quite nicely, again, with the animated series kind of vein of like the sympathetic villain origin story. Or in this case, it's kind of the sympathetic villain kind of little heartstring chords. Episode looks great, looks phenomenal. It's fun seeing Batman face some deluded gods before down the line the DCAU he's going to face real ones when he gets in like the Wonder Woman's corner of the woods. So that's It's quite fun. It's quite fun in retrospect when you look at it that way. This again, it's a solid episode, not a top 10, or as you said, but it's a fun one. Again, very indicative of season 3, doing some comic book stuff, and again, just like for the heck of it, like why not Maxi-Zeus? And hey, it was pretty good.
All right, tease us up for the next one, Dragon.
A string of heists, a new criminal mastermind in Gotham, the Norman Bates of Naugahyde. Can Batman stop this new gang, or will Gotham have a new Scarface to contend with? Tune in next time and find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Read My Lips.
No, that's mine!
Well, if it isn't my brother Hades.